like just pre-ordering and pre-ordering with deluxe edition. And this is a goalpost shift that companies have conditioned the shit eaters into eating. And the truth is that the shit eaters are still hungry. They still want more of it.
Off by saying right off the bat, the game itself is brilliant. I am having the time of my life playing The War Within. The problem is this: it's divided the community to a major extent, not just in terms of how the community feels about it, but also just physically have divided the community. Because as you can imagine, not everyone has the money to buy a digital deluxe edition. It is quite a lot more expensive than the base version of the game.
Especially nowadays.
For many people, they play this game because they can't afford to do anything else. This is their only bit of entertainment.
That's right.
You know, you have students that's playing this game, although these days
tell the
rarely. But you have people that this is what they can afford and this is what they play. So they obviously couldn't get into it. The early access people were very happy. They got to play from last week Friday, and everything was going swimmingly well.
And it's always designed in a way that the early access period overlaps with a weekend, and the normal access period overlaps with a weekday. So that way, it's like early access begins on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? So like you can play and take those days off. But like if you play on the actual release of the game, well then, now it starts on Tuesday. Yeah, it's tactically done that way, and it's done that way every single time in order to make early access. It's like a soft advantage that early access has, that you can play it on the weekend. You bought it? Of course I did. Yeah, of course I bought it. Yeah, I'm not... Listen, I am past the point in my life where I'm going to fight against bad game practices. I'm not a crusader. I'm not a...
You're doing great out there.
A revolutionary. I just want to play video games and make funny videos, and if I care about something, I'll do it. If not, I don't do it. I don't care about it. It's not important to me. Like, I used to have a lot of energy that I would invest into, like, different, like, little social issues or problems that I had in my life. And I spent many years doing that, and I have nothing to show for it. Literally nothing. There's been no benefit to my life. It's been pointless, and all it's done is make me mad. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's something that happens when you get older. Maybe it's something that happens after you've been disappointed a certain amount of times. It's hard to really say why the reasoning is. But all I'm saying is that that is the reasoning. That's the reason why I just don't really give a shit anymore. Space Marine 2 is doing it? Yeah, of course.
Till yesterday. Yeah. Actually, a little bit more the day before yesterday. So literally on the day that the game was now officially launching for the poor people.
Right.
So the first thing that happened was you had all of the early access players starting to make jokes about happy launch day poor people, right? So I don't care about this because I did not buy the early access because I can't afford to buy the digital deluxe edition.
Yeah.
I don't buy digital deluxe edition, but just as a rule, I will not.
Yeah, of course I get it. And like, I think this is really the truth, is that a lot of the people that aren't buying, like, I like memeing. We all love memeing. But let's just for a second be serious here.
Your minions really
Most of the guys that are playing WoW nowadays are like 30. They can spend $40 to play the expansion early. They've got a decent job at that point. Like, you're 30 years old. Yeah, you're 40.
It's
you probably got a decent job. Yeah, you can't spend $30 or $40. Of course you can do that. So a lot of the people that didn't buy it just simply because they thought it was dumb or they didn't want to. You see what I'm saying? Like, so it's not even like, it's not even like, we meme about it a lot, but the truth is, like, most people didn't buy it just because they're like, oh, that's dumb, I'll just play it whenever it comes out.
So, yeah, for me, it was just an absolute, no, I'm not getting in on this. But, of course, for many people, it was a monetary thing, and the player base was making a lot of fun of the poor people playing. So this already is optically a very, very bad look.
Well, it's a good look, actually. Because one thing that poor people hate is to be reminded that they're poor. And this is why they spend so much money on luxury
doing
goods.
great
That's why
out
they
there.
waste all of their money on designer clothes, because it tells other poor people that they're not poor, and it tells other rich people that they are poor. But because they're stupid and they don't understand that, and the only people that they're around are other poor people, then they think that they're balling, but in fact they're actually just looking like clowns. So that's really what happens. Like if you go to, like for example,
destroy you makes you stronger. Hey, watch out! I'm thinking.
If you go to like any event where there's a lot of people that make a lot of money, right? Like I've been to a few events like this. Yeah, you're gonna have some people that might have like a designer shirt on or something like that. But many of these people are just dressed like normal people. They're not showing up and showing out with like Gucci on their wrist, or not Gucci on their wrist, on their fucking, you know, on their shoes and like, you know, all this stuff. Yeah, Adam Sandler. Yeah, like this dude's worth probably hundreds of millions of dollars. Like they're actually really not dressing like that. And also for a lot of guys, like think about it, right? If you're a guy and you're worth $150 million, let's say you're worth $150 million. Do you want people to know that? That are next to you in the line? Do you want people to know that? No. So think about it from their perspective.
In the fact that Blizzard themselves seemingly forgot that this was early access. Literally from the moment the game launched for the rich people, I guess you could say, World of Warcraft Twitter was just spoiling everything. They were posting every single cinematic. They were posting every single spoiler to everything. Absolutely. I had to unfollow World of Warcraft on Twitter so that I wouldn't be spoiled, because apparently Blizzard didn't get the message that this is supposed to be early access.
Well, it's early access for people who deserve it. But like if you don't pay the money, then you just get the story spoiled anyway, right? And so that's what makes sense. Total bullshit. You're talking about streamer events. You go to an investment convention, you won't see one person dressed like you. No, and you're right. But like what I'm saying is that, so like I went to, oh my god, there was this one event I went to in California, and it was like one of these events. It was like an industry event, and there were a lot of people that were like that. And what I'm saying is that the clothes and the brands that they wear are not the clothes and the brands that people that go to clubs downtown wear. It's not that they don't wear expensive clothes. In a lot of cases, they might have a nice t-shirt on, but it doesn't have Gucci plastered all over it. That's the point that I'm making. I'm not talking about like some fucking streamer event. That's totally different.
Most people will not be playing it. Now is not the time to spoil everything. But hey, content is content and content is king. So, you know, it is what it is. But then, to make matters worse, you had the player base, some of the rich players. I hate saying that, but that is technically what they've called themselves now. Some of the rich players, and by the way, I know a couple of people that bought early access that are not rich at all. They've really put themselves in dire straits to get.
This is what people do, right? And this is the funny thing about almost all types of luxury goods, is most like mid-tier luxury goods are like, I think that the best example and the best point on a graph for this is the fact that, do you remember the Faker $500 skin and like package from League of Legends? Somebody said there was a guy that ran a website for like selling Riot Points third party, and they said that about 20% of people were buying the Riot Points in order to purchase this thing on time. They were buying it in installments. They didn't have the money to pay up front, so they had to do this. This is like they're taking out like basically debt for this. Going into debt to go to Disneyland, it's worse because at least you go to Disneyland. This is going into debt for a pixel, for a video game. That's it. No thanks. Yeah, so it's actually a lot of people like that are like really bad at spending money that lose all of their money. Like, yeah, you have the oil princes and the, you know, investment bankers that are making tons of money, and yeah, of course, that's not a big deal. But you also have a lot of the people that are just addicted to spending money. And guys, I know people might not like to hear this because it's too real, but a lot of the people that are poor and are broke, one of the reasons for that is because they're bad at making financial decisions. Like, for example, spending $40 extra to play a video game 3 days early.
Have you ever met the League of Explorers? Nice folks.
Yeah.
Great hats.
Teckna villaförsäkring hos Folksam.
Jag har alltid tyckt att det är roligt att gå till jobbet.
Ingen dag är exakt den andra lik.
Ja, vi har utvecklats väldigt mycket sedan jag började här. Klimatet på Holmen är väldigt öppet. Du får gehör för dina idéer.
Man får alltid den hjälp man behöver.
Early access because they're addicted to the game. Never mind.
That's right. Yeah,
that is
they
by
can't
design.
miss out.
But anyway,
they don't want to get behind.
To make a long story short, the player base started making groups where they would literally say killing poor boys.
That's
and
right.
it would just be these raid groups that go
that.
around killing all
Yes.
of the people that are
Level
now the first time
73.
living.
Yes.
So basically you had the early access crowd
That's right.
making the game unbearable for the people that were playing on the actual launch day.
Right.
Now, personally,
Yes.
I think Blizzard should absolutely ban all of these players that participated in these activities.
I do too. And that's why then they'll learn their lesson and they'll buy the early access next time. Because all the people who were too cheap to buy the early access that were getting killed, they still did get to play the game, but they were playing it in the cheap way. So I do think Blizzard should ban the people that were involved. They should get rid of all those guys. Because, like, listen, inflation is higher. It's stuff like that. I mean, you're sitting there and you can't play that you can't pay to play the game 3 days early. Come on. Just turn war mode off? Oh, no. By the way, I'm obviously memeing about this. Nobody should get banned for killing those players. Absolutely not. Because they have war mode turned on. And Blizzard engineered this situation. Why should Blizzard punish players for the players doing something that Blizzard created? You can't give somebody a gun and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna lock you in a room with somebody, and then, oh my god, I can't believe that you shot them. At a certain point, you gave them the gun. You created the environment for this situation to occur. And guess what? It happens. You give a kid a fork in an empty room, and there's a light socket in the room, the kid's gonna put the fork in the light socket. That's what's gonna happen. The developers are God. You have to understand this, right? They design the entire world and the physics of the world. They design how everything works, how you can and can't talk to each other. They are God. And so, if something bad happens in the game, the last thing that you should do is punish players.
Because fundamentally, what you've done is Blizzard themselves made the game worse as a result of the two-tier releases.
They did.
Because that's not how everyone was supposed to be played.
Yes.
Right? And then the player base is making it unlivable, right? They're making everyone else's normal launch day just unbearable as a result of the decisions that Blizzard took. But then,
now, in a perfect world, this happens in Mists of Pandaria Classic. Because it was probably... I think this was probably profitable enough. If they do this for Mists of Pandaria Classic and you can play the game early, it's going to be way better because you can get flying at level 90 and you can't fly before level 90. So we'll be able to kill the level 81s or like the level 85s and 86s in Jade Forest, and they actually won't be able to level because they can't turn off war mode. Because like in retail, you just turn off war mode, problem solved, right? It's not a big deal. But in Classic WoW, I do think that you could actually have a situation where a turtle just doesn't make it to the water because there's not as much phasing there. Would you assume this is purely for profit or reducing server strain as a component? There's probably... So profit is the main reason, and there are advantages that exist beyond that. So, like, for example, getting the extra, like, not having to worry about server capacity and having it spaced out is definitely a positive and a benefit on Blizzard's side, but that's not the real reason why they're doing it. The real reason is for money. The profit is a secondary, like, serendipitous outcome.
It's getting a lot worse, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to say this.
It is.
It is true.
It's going to get
Things got a lot worse.
Yeah.
On Monday afternoon, Blizzard announced something. They put out a blue post. And in the blue post, they announced that they're making leveling harder.
That's right.
Because players are leveling too fast.
Exactly.
It's too easy. There's too many people just speed running the leveling. So they're making mobs harder at low level, making it more difficult to kill things at low level, and slowing the questing experience way down for all of the poor folk.
Yeah.
Keep up the momentum, friend.
Because, like, at that point, like, they wouldn't have had time to like level, because it was like one day after it happened.
Now, I want to be clear. If we're being honest, this was not a decision by Blizzard to punish the early access players. Of course not. I don't think Blizzard is that picky. I don't think Blizzard would do that. This was
No, they're not. But I think that if they did, it would be funny.
Genuinely a concern. If you go and look at what happened at, you know, sort of from level 76, 77, players were eventually running around literally one-shotting mobs. You couldn't even do a half a rotation. And it started to become very difficult for other people to level because you wouldn't be able to tag things even. If someone tagged something, it was done, right? So it just created this weird sort of crazy thing where the scaling felt completely off. Going into dungeons with low-level players, the low-level players would out-damage the max-level players by...
This has been going on, by the way, ever since they introduced level scaling. This has been a problem for literally, like, the better part of 10 years at this point. Do you think they even know their audience? Of course they do. That's why they put out early access. You see, WoW players at this point, like, WoW used to have a community of people that were more... Like, it was, like, harder to take advantage of the community, I think, back in the day. But now, because WoW has alienated a lot of those people, and people have become increasingly more invested into the game, what's ended up happening is that they've accepted certain different parts of gaming as just being normalized, right? And so they've effectively, it's like you're distilling down a fan base into a group of people that will accept almost anything. And it's kind of like how, like, some streamers are, like, really popular, and then, like, they go crazy or they fall off the deep end, and then they lose a lot of popularity, but they still have, like, this core audience that's, like, hyper dedicated to them and, like, almost like a cult. Have you guys seen this happen before?
Tjena, varför snackar ni dator?
Nej, jag leasar faktiskt.
Aha. Ja, sån där skit går inte jag på oss.
Vadå då?
Nej, men det är dyrt, krångligt. Alltså, jag gillar att casha saker. Cash is king.
Jo, men det är faktiskt väldigt smidigt. Och jag har räknat på det. Jag tjänar faktiskt pengar på
det. Omöjligt. Alla krediter kostar pengar. Economy 101.
Jo, men samtidigt, jag får ett stabilt cashflow i firman. Jag har fått loss 40 000 sen jag har lagt på marknadsföring. Jag har redan genererat 120 000 i försäljning.
Vad fan? Men vadå, du måste ju fortfarande lämna tillbaka den där sen. Alltså, jag hatar sånt där. Jag älskar att äga.
Jo, men alltså, du kan köpa lossen när du vill. Jag å andra sidan, jag gillar att plocka ut en ny typ vartannat år. Så vet jag att jag alltid har de bästa grejerna.
Okej, vad heter det, sa du?
Per månad. Kolla in här.
Och per månad hittar du tusentals IT-produkter till ditt företag. Allt från laptops, kameror och kaffemaskiner till månadspris. Snabbt, tryggt och smidigt.
Mess of just balancing problems, which you kind of wanted to ask, why was this not caught in early access? You know, that's the whole point of early access. That's why it's called early access, to, you know, find the bugs and fix them.
Yeah.
But no, it was the day of the official launch of the game that Blizzard decided.
Well, let's not even talk about early access. They had months to figure this out in beta because everybody was leveling in beta. and in the alpha. But this problem just seemingly happened like the day after the real release of the game. Come on.
Do this. So optically, what does this look like? And this is why I said this video is a video on optics. It's to tell Blizzard, dude, this is not how you do this. Because from the player's perspective...
I think it is. If I was Blizzard, I think that they made the right call. Because now, next time that people buy early access, there's going to be the added incentive that there could be an unknown advantage that you could be taking advantage of if you get early access. So I bet this change will actually get more people to buy early access in the future. Because now they think that they can get an advantage by being able to do it. Yeah, it's the fear of missing out. Exactly.
What does this actually look like?
Oops, FOMO.
It looks like Blizzard punishing the players who refuse to give them more money.
Yes.
That is what it looks like. Dead insane.
It does.
And you can't get around this, even though I know for a fact that that is not what Blizzard did. And I've tried to explain this to people. There are just people that goes, no. This is Blizzard basically saying, if in future you don't buy early access, we're going to do this game. We're going to punish you even harsher.
And that's what they will do. And I guarantee you that's what they'll do, because that's the smart thing to do. Because you want to create a reason for people to buy the early access. Because if the value add isn't there, then people aren't going to buy it. So you create the value add, and then you do it in a very soft way. Stockholm Syndrome? Yeah, just buy early access. Easy. The thing is, like, this is the community and fan base that's been conditioned into believing that buying a video game, buying an expansion, paying a sub is all still not enough, and the game still needs to augment itself by selling pets, selling transmog, selling transfers at like $25 a pop, selling name changes for $20, selling server changes for I don't know if I said that before, but like, you know, guild name changes, selling gold, selling pets, selling toys. Like, they're selling everything in this game now. Like, at this point, why would they not accept early access? They've accepted everything else. Like, there is basically no game out there that is monetized in the same way that WoW is. Like, even Final Fantasy XIV, you can't really buy gold in Final Fantasy XIV. I'm sure there's, like, ways that you can, like, get maybe a little bit extra if you purchase some sort of package or something like that. But, like, you can't just go and directly spend real money and then get gold directly. Yes, you can. How can you? Buy dyes?
You're doing great out there.
You can't buy gold. So, okay, so then you can't buy gold. Just buy dyes and sell them. Okay, so then you can't do it, right? Okay, so that's what I thought. And anyway, so yeah, you can't buy gold in that game. And there's also, like, there's not the same carry culture that there is in WoW. Not directly? Yeah. You can't sell dyes, Keck. Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, like, yeah, you can't do it. So WoW is actually unique and special in how many different ways that you're able to like, pay money and spend money in the game. It's crazy.
You better give us more money,
That's
get
right.
the early access,